Welcome to Mom Ballz.
Welcome to Moms Ballz.
Welcome to Moms Ballz.
As
Y'all didn't understand the hang back till we brought you in.
right. That part. As y'all can see, they don't listen. And as you can see, they couldn't wait their turn. So we got some special guests with us today. Yeah. What we talking about, y'all?
You're LaTwanis. I'm Robin.
And I'm Nilka.
I forgot about that. And these two.
And welcome to Moms Ballz. And we'll hold on to them for a minute because before we start, we have to do our segment, Who's Winning in the IE? And today, our spotlight happens to be my niece. Yay. Her name is Elon Brooks, and Elon is an 8th grader at El Cerrito Middle School. And last weekend, she competed in the Corona Norco Intermediate Cross Country Relay at Roosevelt High School, where she placed 3rd. Now, mind you, yay, Elon. Elon is a first-time runner. She is a straight A student. And what she likes to do for crafting is create bracelets. So she's a little entrepreneur. And next year, she plans to attend Centennial High School. So remember her name,
Huskies.
Elon Brooks. She's a runner.
Congratulations, Elon.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I guess that leads into our guest. We have up in the corner with LaTwanis, Ben Stevens, and down in the lower box, we have Gary Curry. Hey, welcome.
Welcome, guys.
Lamar is working, right?
He is working. He's out in the field today.
Yeah, so he's going to be with us. So you're going to have to represent and hold it down, Nilka.
Yeah, I'm about to hold it down for the Mickey.
So y'all, we have a new show idea we're going to bring to y'all today, and it's called, what, Nilka?
Hot Sports Topic.
Hot Sports Topic. Like Hot Topics. Y'all get it? We're about to bring some controversy. But the idea is to talk about current events, what's going on in the world today, in the sports world. So basically, we're just going to be giving our opinion because I feel like that's all anybody else do anyway, right?
Right.
Just give their opinion.
Right.
So
best thing to do. We're going to talk about it. We're going to chop it up. We're going to chop it up. So what are we doing? We're talking about Deion Sanders.
Yes.
Oh my God, prime time.
That's a hot topic.
I love him. He's a controversy. He's a walking controversy. I love him though.
This is hot. So of course we all got a difference in opinion. So we're gonna try to keep it civil here today.
Right.
Right, Gary?
What was that?
We're gonna try to keep it civil today, right?
Oh, it's all civil in the hood.
All right, so who want to start? Let's get it popping, y'all. Let's just jump in. Who want to start?
I'll say something. I'm gonna say something. So we know that he was at Jackson State University, which is an HBCU. And that was a big deal for the HBCUs to have someone like Primetime come and coach and bring life to the program and bring attention to HBCUs. And he did that. I feel like he accomplished that. I have a lot to say on both sides, but I'm just wanting to share my take on what I believe happened, right? So he went there for 3 years. It wasn't without him having a lot of challenges and a lot of pushback. And the money came talking, knock, knock, knock. And that's one stance, that money came talking and he couldn't turn it down. And now he's at Colorado. So let's get into it, y'all. Who wants to start with how you felt about that? I know the men are going to have a lot to say about it. I've heard my husband.
I feel like we need to voice our opinion before they try to take over.
True.
And I just want to make one point too before they start is because I did just a little bit of research. And so what Deion was paid at Jackson State compared to other HBCUs, he was paid more money than most coaches at HBCUs. So he got right? Ben's frowning.
He did. Did. But do you know that he used half of it to feed
yes.
to make the gym better?
Yes, all of that. But I'm just saying that he did, when he went to Jackson State, he did get a large, which brings light to the fact that coaches are not paid enough at HBCUs.
But I also feel like he knew what his contract was too, right? He knew what he was walking into. So he knew what he was taking.
Right. Okay, Gary Curry, you nodding your head. Go ahead.
I'm not. I'm gonna defer right now because I got so many thoughts about everything that just was said. And by the way, I did go to a HBCU, so I got a little bit of personal background with how the administration operates. But
So let me say how I felt when I first woke up and heard the news. I was like blown away. Like, what? He left? Like, this whole, especially on Instagram. If you scrolling on Instagram any day and all day, you are seeing Deion. I am
Right.
what all that the whole.
I am
Prime
swag.
time.
So he just brought
Swag.
so much light to it, right? So he got us all involved, and he was getting all the celebrities involved, and just what he was preaching about. I thought he was doing a great job with those kids and just what he wanted to bring to the HBCU program, right? And that whole football program. And then to just wake up and see that he left, I didn't even see that coming. So I was hot about it. And I remember Ben was like, babe. So he started, as the days and the hours goes on, you're looking and people are feeling, you always gonna have a difference of opinion. So people was feeling, a lot of people was feeling like I felt like, like that was whack. Like, how you just gonna do all this work and then just up and leave? Because it looked like, because the big boys came a knocking, you just dipped on over, and of course, as a week has gone by, more and more info has come out. So I'm straddling the fence, but initially I was hot and was like, Deion's whack. That's what I thought.
I think as a mom, that was my first reaction too.
Yeah.
I was sad. I was sad for the guys that he had fully, on the team vested, and he made a better team and they were winning and they're winning championships. And I felt really bad for the guys, the kids that
I felt like he left them high and dry. And like,
too.
I'm gone. I'm gonna take my son. This is my new quarterback. Bye.
Right. But at the same time, like you said, as information started to come out, there's always two sides to the story. Yeah. And then there's the truth, because we hear the other side, we hear his side, and then there's the truth that nobody really knows. But yeah, I agree with you. I'm straddling the fence too.
And one more thing before we let you guys chime in, I figured, and this is just Robin, how much more money do you need, Deion? Like, how much more money do you need? So at some point, and you can't spend anybody else's money. I totally agree with that. But how much, then it becomes, do you do it for a cause or do you do it for money? So those were my initial thoughts too. But like LaTonis and Nilka said, more information has been revealed. So there's two sides to that story.
I think for me, just like what you just said Robin, it was like I thought he was there for a cause, right? Mm-hmm. So
we all did.
For me, like when I was listening and I was watching the pivot and they was asking him, if Alabama come knocking, you're gonna be successful, what are you gonna do? And he was like, Deion was like, it ain't about the money for me. It's about uplifting the HBCUs, and it's about, it was just about the whole HBCU community, right? And then he was gone. You know what I mean? But like at the end of the day, I have mixed feelings about it too. You know what I'm saying? Because, he said the Lord told him to move. And at the end of the day,
I have one thing to say about that aspect. So I believe in everything in our lives and people and things that we do are either for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. He started off with a reason, and it definitely was just a season. Whether or not he heard from the Lord, that's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother side of it. I thought that was a cop-out, honestly, when I heard it. I was like, say what you want to say, But I didn't expect him to stay forever, but I do feel that the way that it went about after winning the championship, it was kind of janky the way it went about. And it did look like it's all about the money. Now, when you talk about, is it about the money? Is it about the cause? You have that today in high schools. You have that in youth football. You have that in college. You see people that you believe are in it for the cause, but ultimately money usually always talks. The cause is the initial catalyst to get them in the door, right? But if money talks, if money comes knocking, I think it'd be very few people who would turn down money, no matter how much.
Can I get with it?
Get with it.
Because I've been doing a lot of research. Well, first of all, I'm gonna replace the word money with appreciation, because money is not Deion's issue. He has millions of dollars. Deion didn't leave for the money. Absolutely not. Well, first of all, Deion is a football coach. His responsibilities as a football coach is to do such, be a football coach and rep his department to the best of his ability. Now, we can all agree, as a football coach, Deion has done any and everything he possibly could do for Jackson State's football team.
Right.
He's not the administration. He's not in charge of signing contracts. He's not in charge of marketing for students to for tuition to go up. That's not his responsibility. It's not his responsibility to fix HBCU, period. He's the Jackson football coach. There are other football coaches that have the same responsibility, and they're not held to that standard because they're not Deion Sanders. It is unfair to say, in my opinion, only my opinion, that the money came and he left. He left for a number of reasons. When you go to a HBCU schools, there are a lot of things that are lacking at HBCU. Yeah. And there are a lot of things with our people that have issues. For example, like I was telling Robin, the HBCUs, education is number one, athletics is at the bottom as far as their mindset. At the PWI, education is number one, athletics is number one, because they look at the value and the money of what athletics brings. So if your team is winning, then the admissions for people coming to the school increases, and on the academic side, they make more money. Now, how can we be mad at a gentleman that they said we're going to pay you $300,000 and he's still got to spend his money, and in his contract, and this is typical, you know, it's just crazy. It always happens, seems like, to HBCU. His agreement is, if there's over 30,000 people, you're supposed to pay me a percentage. One, they didn't pay him that percentage. As we can see, there was 60,000. He promoted the program because his contract is as such. Now, I was telling Robin, forward thinking. You got an administration that took advantage of Deion. They paid him $300,000. At HBCU, it's hard for my opinion, a chancellor that has a doctorate degree to really look at, oh, this football coach is gonna make more money than me. Now, if they paid him more, he would make more than the chancellor. That's an issue at some certain individuals, basically the one at Jackson State, because his comment after Deion left was, I hope that the brother fails. Now, this is the chancellor with a doctorate degree.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, he said it. He said, I hope that he fails because he's irritated, pissed off. Deion didn't get the support. Deion didn't go to the school having to worry about, one, the kids having to take a bath in the pool because the water was no good. Right. Two, it wasn't his responsibility to make sure that there was security that's protecting the locker room, with his stuff in his office while he's coaching a game gets stolen. His car get broken into 3-4 times. His son's car get broken into. All this is going on. And then on top of that, Deion's trying to elevate the program, and he brings an agreement with the television network, and the chancellor doesn't want to sign off on it because it's giving Deion too much power. He's going to be making too much money. There's all kind of things behind the scenes that's going on, but yet and still, when I did my research watching Roland Martin, we got all these people that talking about he's a sellout, he did this. And Roland Martin specifically said, when was the last time you bought black? When was the last time you donated $1 to your HBCU school that you complained about? And all the people that are complaining are ones that buy Nike, look at BET, who's owned by a white person, not a black person, and all these different scenarios. But they want Deion to say what? A football team? There was a girl that came on, and I'm gonna be quiet, that came on and said, Deion's a football coach. It's our responsibility to take care of HBCU. HBCU was here before Deion, it'll be there after Deion. But Deion did a few other things I gotta say. There was no NFL combine for HBCUs. Deion did that for all the HBCUs. If he just did that only and left, that's more than enough. He did way more than anyone that has ever been a coach at HBCU. No NFL combine was coming to see black players at HBCU. So that in itself was more than enough. On top of that, he had, as you guys know, game day come to Jackson State. He brought a lot of publicity, but take the publicity out because he's Deion Sanders, and look at exactly what this man did. And then you're not forward thinking enough to make sure that you pay him more than $300,000. $300,000 is nothing. Nothing. He don't even live in Jackson. He got to fly back and forth. He got his kids there. He took his kid, and my last point, I'm done. He took his kid, brought him to Jackson State. He's a father too. He wants his kid to have the opportunity to play pro football. He needs to go play quarterback in the Power 5 to go play pro football, unless he's Steve McNair. Steve McNair is the only quarterback out of HBCU that's played in the pros, other than
Doug Williams, bro.
Ben, let me finish. Other than Doug Williams, 2, right? But now Deion has did something else by going to the Power 5. There's never been a black coach from HBCU that got hired at the Power 5 position. Now he's opened up the door, because guess what? They want to know that you can handle the administration and all the things that come with it. So if Deion is successful, unlike the chancellor saying, I hope he fails, then other black coaches from HBCU will have the opportunity, because of Deion, there were other pro coaches that are now coaching at HBCU school. So he did a great job. And I'm trying to find out why everybody's so pissed off, because he left. They won every game. He did everything he was supposed to do. He's first place in every situation when it comes to football. He's one of the best football coaches that ever went to Jackson State. He raised the money, $60 million to the city, $3.4 million or $4 million to homecoming. He did all this, and people are pissed off. Who else has done that? It ain't his job.
Why are people pissed off? Milka was going to say something.
Well, I wanted to kind of piggyback off of your point about it's not about the money for him. I know that he said it's not life-changing money for me, but it's life-changing money for the coaches he's bringing. So in that aspect, I do respect him saying that, like, I'm going to bring some coaches with me who are also going to make more money than they were making at the HBCU. Because when you're a head coach, you bring your own staff. You always bring your own staff. You bring your own players, you know? And so I think that one of the points that why people are so pissed off is because they don't understand all of those details behind the scenes. There's always a behind the scenes. And even hearing that from you, Gary, you made great points. I already had heard half of that or most of it. And Lamar, you know, kind of was on your taking your stance where, why are we so pissed off at a brother who's done so much, and all of the stuff that he had to deal with? He had to pay for the babies to eat. He had to let the babies take, and I say the babies because I look at it like a mama, right? They're taking taking a bath in the pool. Like, what kind of stuff is going on where he did elevate the program? My concern was, will the program be sustainable after he's gone? What's going to happen now? I'm going to respond to that, and then bingo. I'm not going to be long.
Well,
if everybody would do what they're hired to do your job. The chancellor's job is to do things that they're not doing. Right. You can't put it all on a football coach. The AD's done his part. He brought him there, but everybody at the university has to do their job, and they're not doing it. They're not, because you're depending on one person to let's keep this ball rolling. If your infrastructure is tight, one man isn't going to break or make your company.
But would you agree, though, that because he was so impactful, like, it is hard? I mean, you might even see that in the high school program. It's hard for somebody to follow Deion Sanders. So not that it is solely his responsibility, but even leaving things in place to be successful, you know, at Jackson State. And maybe that's not his plight. Maybe that's not his responsibility, but it still doesn't take the bad taste out of everyone's mouth that he left an HBCU to go to a PWI.
What does PWI stand for?
Predominantly white institution.
Oh, okay.
Let me ask you this: when he left, when he left Jackson State, he left Jackson State in a better position. He spent some of his money to build the facilities. So Jackson State is now 100% better than it was before he got there. So there's nothing else he could do with Jackson State, honestly.
I agree.
Right. So
I mean, I agree with you with a majority. The only thing I kind of disagree with you, Gary, is he didn't have to go to a PWI to get to the league. It's tons.
Okay. That's fair.
There's tons of HBCU dudes that's in the league, man.
No, I was talking about his son individually as a quarterback, and he could have probably stayed there because his son can really play. And then he has a daughter that's going to be playing basketball at a Pac-12 school. I mean, he still got his kids. So when I think about what Deion did, I mean, that's an awesome coach and dad. He's like, look, I'm taking my kids to the best situation why wouldn't I want to do that? Yeah. I mean, maybe that's why he left.
Unfortunately, we as Americans, because I can speak on why so many people are pissed, because I was pissed. You get pissed first, and then you cool off after all the details are revealed. So Right. As more info and intel come down the pipe, then you like, okay, well, now I got to look at it this way. Now I get it. Now I understand. So, but initially, yeah, I was hot about it because I was like, you just left everybody. Like, what these kids gonna do now?
I was just a little, for me, I was just a little disappointed just because what he was doing and what he was accomplishing at that level. And I felt if he'd have stayed a little bit longer, like the HBCU he would have definitely elevated them to a point
for a long time to come.
To me, he just wasn't there. He's not there long enough to really sustain it, for them to kind of sustain it.
And I guess time will tell.
But
we'll see what happens.
I think he was I think if he would have stayed, you know what I'm saying, it would have elevated the HBCU. HBCU schools, not just Jackson. I'm talking about it because they would have to elevate too, right?
But see, that's where I disagree. That's where I disagree a little bit, not with how you feel, but what else could he have done? Because those individual coaches, they have to do it to their program. He's not responsible for their programs.
You're right.
He's responsible for Jackson.
But we don't know what he would have did because he left. Like, we don't know how they could have elevated it even more. He could have elevated that thing to a place where I felt where he was competing with Power Fives.
But let's talk about that. If say he would have elevated to compete with Power Fives, he went 12-0. There is nothing left for Jackson State that he could have. He's not going to win every single year and go 12-0 from here on out until he decides to retire.
If he's getting Power Five, if he getting 5, 4, and 5 stars like he was getting there.
Well, most Power Fives don't even get 4 and 5 Power Fives. He got 1, which is the first time in the history of HBCU. Colorado, where he's going to, has only had 2, and since he went there, now he's got 3 or 4.
But what I'm saying though, if he would have stayed there, they would have came. I felt if he would have stayed at Jackson, he would have got more Power Fives. Depending on what Travis would have did, right?
So let me just say this. I got a kid and he's ready to go to a Power 5. He ain't going to Jackson State to take baths in the pool. He ain't going to Jackson State where the facilities ain't up to his qualifications, because we work so hard to get our kids someplace, and we're gonna send them to when the high school facilities is better than Jackson State. But I'm gonna say, let's use Jada. Jada, let's go to an HBC. You put all this in, but we want you to have the best opportunity, and it needs to meet the same level of what you've been working for. I just think it needs to meet the same level, and they don't put enough emphasis. I think Deion felt like he wasn't appreciated.
I think that what Gary said earlier, that, he did all that he could do. The fact that he brought the NFL Combine to all of the HBCUs, that's huge. But Gary, I didn't really hear what you think is going to happen going forward with Jackson State per se. Like, we have to see who's going to be the next head coach coming in.
No, they did that already.
They announced it already.
Oh, they did? Okay.
And they were excited. He's really good. He's from Jackson.
We got to give them a chance too to see what they're going to do next season, because if they caught the vision, they caught the dream, and they caught the passion that Prime brings, because he brings it. And he brings old school mentality, like, y'all ain't gonna be sagging, y'all ain't gonna be wearing your hats in here. Y'all, that was important. And that's important at, like, I'm gonna tell y'all about this. I'm gonna bring this little controversy in. Centen, okay? It's a school right around the corner that didn't even require their high school football players to lift. What kind of mess is that? So, like, when you bring a standard to a school and now you can maintain that standard, maybe it's not going to elevate as quickly as it would have if Prime has stayed, but hopefully what he has done made an impact enough that next season they're going to bring it and they're going to keep it going regardless of him leaving. Because sometimes when kids feel like they're kicked in the teeth, they're going to be like, you know what, we're going to show you and we're going to beat you. How about that?
Right.
Time will tell, right?
Time will tell.
Robin, what's on your mind? I can see it.
Nothing. Nothing. I'm just listening. Well, I mean, I think that, like I said, initially we all had, a movement. We just saw Deion being part of a bigger picture. And then, of course, like we keep saying, is that when everything is revealed, then our opinions may change. But I still feel like you know, you look at, and he's not a civil rights activist or anything like that, but Martin Luther King, Sojourner Truth, you know, all of these people that have fought for Black people, you know, they stayed in it, even when they couldn't see,
right, when they had
what,
pushback.
yeah, with all the pushback, you know. So, and I'm not saying that was Deion Sanders' plight, but he was in a position, and he made a humongous change.
But Robin, that's how he recruited though, right? Like everything that you're saying is how he was able to get the 5 stars, and people was really paying attention because he got everything that you were saying.
He got 1 5-star.
Okay, 1 5-star, but still, he took that 5-star from like Alabama or something crazy.
Let's talk about that real quick. Let's talk about that real quick though, because it's very rare that there are a lot of 5 stars in the beginning. 5-star is pressure on a kid. How about that? And in our process, y'all know this too, because I don't know how they do it in basketball, but we learned that a lot of those stars, writers say, let's make him a 4-star. Let's make him a 5-star. Right. Let's see what happens. I agree. Real. They don't even mean squat.
Yeah, it don't.
100%, Nilka, 100%.
You're right. Absolutely. But
you nailed that.
But what Robin was saying though is that I felt like that's how Deion was. That's how he was recruiting.
He was bringing the high.
But listen, you should recruit. I mean, his job. Hey,
it was the whole movement, girl. It wasn't like come to Jackson State. It was like, we're gonna do this whole thing.
And he did that. It was a movement. And if I'm recruiting, hey, come with me. This is what it's going to be. Travis Hunter, you're a 5-star. And I believe the reason why Travis Hunter went, he plays the same position as Deion. Deion's like, I'm going to get you to the NFL. And I can see that happening. But there was only 1 5-star, but he did that. And then when he got there, I signed the agreement. I get there, and then things aren't going like you told me. What'd you say, Robin? You tell me something, and I get there, and it's totally different. I'm supposed to do this. You going to do this?
Travis with him.
Travis going to Colorado, right?
Going to Colorado.
Yeah.
So Deion taking him with him?
No, Deion's not taking him. He decided to go. If he didn't go to Colorado, he was going to Alabama. He's the number 1 player in the country in his class. But he decided to go to Colorado. But I'm saying, if I'm selling you a dream, I'm gonna sell you my dream. I'm Gary Cram, the coach. Come with me. We're gonna do this. And guess what? For the most part, I think Deion delivered on what he said he was gonna do. I mean, heck, they won the SWAC. They might win it 2 years in a row. What else can he do? They ain't going to no bowl game. They ain't going to the BCS bowl. You know, so
but we don't. For me, we don't know because he could have changed that.
But I'm saying they not at currently right now when he took the job for the last 3 years, they were never going to the BCS bowl because they don't play the type of competition, and they would never.
What I'm saying though is we don't know down the line. We don't know.
Right, and that's any coach. When you hire a coach, you don't know if they're going to win or lose. He's going to Colorado. Nobody knows if Deion's going to win or not. But I can tell you this, because Robin, you said he did a lot of things. But guess what he's doing in Colorado? He bringing Black coaches to Colorado. I mean, the coaching staff. He's got $5 million just to pay his assistants, not him. He's got a private jet. He's got every asset of everything that he's never had to do what he can for what? Guess what? There are going to be more Black football players in Colorado than there's ever been. Because Deion
said though that it's not life-changing for him, but it's life-changing for the people he's bringing with him. So
there's definitely going to be a coach shock for that PWI.
Oh, it's big time coach shock up there in Colorado.
Wait, did y'all hear somebody was saying something about the bag? And a fan or somebody said, Coach, can you tell us what the bag is? I didn't even know what the bag is.
It's definitely interesting.
I saw him going to restaurants and he's rating restaurants. Like, oh, you get an A+ or A, hey, come down and support this restaurant, blah, 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 blah. So he's doing what Deion does, but don't get it twisted. He go there and don't win, he gonna get fired.
He gonna win. He gonna win in Colorado.
Not right away.
I think he's gonna win. I think he's gonna win next year.
But he's definitely setting it up. He's setting himself up to win.
He had 200 players call him to inquire about going to Colorado.
He said, y'all, you know where I am. You know how to find me.
I ain't hard to find.
Prime time ain't hard to find.
Deion is a show within his own right.
He always has been. That's why he's crying.
But hey, take that away. Deion's a very good football coach because Deion puts the right assistants in place for him to be successful. I mean, Deion's doing his thing. I mean, look, they probably not going to win this bowl game because North Carolina Central got a squad.
When is that
That's
game?
gonna be interesting.
It's tomorrow.
That's gonna be tough.
Saturday.
Hey, watch that be
there, right? Wait, he's still at JSU, right?
Yeah, for this last game. Now the chancellor didn't even want him to coach that game. That's how. I mean, I hope he fails, and I don't want him to coach the game. I mean, it's just.
Here's the thing. Is he being held to a higher standard because he's a Black man in that setting and in this lighting? Because coaches leave every day, and they leave sometimes in the middle of stuff that they're recruiting. They leave. They're telling kids to their face. How about this? When Coach Kelly left, Jaden comes downstairs. We got all these calls from all these other colleges. It was one college coach that was telling us to our face, yeah, come here. I'm not leaving. He had already been out the door. He left the next day. And so coaches leave every day.
Hey, but
He's being held to a tougher standard because he's a Black man and because it's the Black community.
I don't think it's just because he's a Black man. Me personally, I also think because Deion's cocky, but people love that about him. And he can back it up. He backs it up though.
I don't think it. I just think that people was disappointed in they seen a movement moving, like you saying, Robin, and now it's kind of
deflated.
Yeah. It's kind of
Jackson State.
How's this movement is going to move going forward? It's
okay,
what
so
I'm
gonna say something about that.
I think people think too much is given, much is required. So Deion has so much success. I mean, but at the end of the day, with all of his success, if you look at everything that he was dealing with, a man has to do what's best for a man and his family. So what everybody else thinks is really
clearly he don't care what we think.
Okay,
I'm not mad at Deion for the decision that he made. I'm just a little disappointed because I seen what could have been.
Yeah,
right.
So I'm let me say this. I saw what he did, right, Ben? Mm-hmm. But two things. One, players can leave anytime they want. Yeah. You know how hard it is to put a football team or a basketball team together? The next year the portal's full. So now the players want to be treated right. They want their NIL, they want their money. Okay, don't get mad when the coach leaves, because it's been happening all along. You can leave the same year and go play somewhere else. What the coach gonna do? He built this whole team around you and you bounce. So we can't, that's like a double standard. Oh, well, he can leave. Well, but the players can leave anytime they want. So now they wanted it to be like a business. And so it's a business on both sides. Okay. And then the other thing was, you said, Robert, what did you just say? God, it was important. I was gonna say, what were you just saying, Robert?
Too much is given, much is required.
Okay, perfect example. Too much is given, much is required. There wasn't that much given to Deion. He gave more than he received. He had a
I meant too much is given to him. Deion was very successful. So he had a platform. So when you have a platform and when you have the resources, then the requirements are greater.
He didn't have the resources.
But okay, but he was given a platform.
Yeah.
He was given a platform, and I believe that he did what he could do.
What
and
platform?
Time came, and it was done.
They gave him
The platform is that he's prime time, right?
Every Black coach out there got the same platform and social media.
We're saying
Deion he's prime time.
Yeah, he's not just a regular coach.
Because you got a coach over Alabama State who is Eddie. What's his name?
Eddie George.
Not Eddie George. Eddie Robinson's son.
No, that's not his son.
Same last name. He's pissed off at Deion because he's hating. Deion getting all the coaches. He's getting so much publicity. Look, they can do the same thing. Get on social media, make it happen. It might not be Deion, but you telling me there ain't another coach that can come in there and do better than Deion? Deion ain't the be all end all.
It's a little different. It's a little different. We talking about one of the best, or probably one of the best corners that ever played a game with a huge personality, bro.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, one of the best basketball players, couldn't coach a lick. He had to go own the team.
But his influence, we're saying that Deion's influence.
We might have to continue this as a part 2, y'all, because we're running out.
We have like 4 minutes left.
Yeah, we straight running out of time.
I just think like
Closing thought.
I'm gonna use
Yes.
Ben for an example, and then I'm gonna be done.
we
No,
gotta
we're
do
done,
closing
Gary. You
thoughts.
don't get to
Closing
like
thought.
program.
Yeah, we gotta do closing thoughts.
Like, no, you're a guest.
Oh, Gary.
Yes.
might
We
have
gotta
to
do
be very-
closing thoughts.
you can't
And
hear
your
that part.
closing thought needs to
You
be
can't hear that
10
part.
seconds, Gary. 10 seconds.
Hey, if Ben was going after Roe and Denzel was going after Roe, I'm picking Ben. All because it's Denzel don't mean Ben can't knock it out the park.
Okay,
That's all I'm saying.
Good point.
That's all I'm saying.
I think that for whatever reason, the sun set on Deion's time
I love
at Jackson
Denzel.
State. He chose his family. He chose to move on, and I bless him, and I hope that he's successful. And I think that the people he's bringing along with him, if it's going to change their lives, kudos to him for that.
And I can't say
Agree.
nothing else.
Yep, you're done. Thank you so much for
Hold
coming
let me
on
close. Can I
today.
close? Let me close.
Okay,
Close,
Ben.
Ben.
Let me say one thing.
Good, Ben.
I was a little disappointed. I'm like Nilka. I wish Deion the most success in the world. You know what I mean? I want him to succeed at Colorado. A little disappointed because I think it's going to slow the movement up. But you can't handle with that man. What he going to do with his family? So
Maybe what he left is impactful, and it'll keep going.
yeah.
And on that point, Mom Ballz out.
Mom Ballz out.
Mom Ballz out.
Mom Ballz out.
Mom Ballz up in here.
Next time, NIL or Brittany Griner, y'all tune in. It's gonna be controversial.
Ooh.